So this cooler is made both with a combination of purchased materials and materials that we repurposed from the farm that we had around. This is the PVC board. We really wanted to put it on the ceiling so it would create a really nice light space, but we didn't have enough to do the whole cooler and it's really expensive. So we just took some old metal that we had, some of this was on the farm when we purchased it and some of it came off of a house project, of a remodel of our house. So we were able to use this as the walls. Inside these walls, they're 2x6 stud walls of the barn that's filled with Roxol, and then we have 4 inches of a rigid insulation on top of that, all taped with building tape to give it a nice seal. And then this goes on top of it with really long GRX screws that'll go all the way through and get the studs. Same kind of a deal on the ceiling. On the ceiling, just because we wanted to keep a high ceiling, same thing in our wash pack station, we chose to just do 2 inches of insulation rather than bring the ceiling down here. That's another thing to think about, is in these old dairy barns the ceiling's often really low, and that could create like a pretty uncomfortable situation to work in. So we just try to keep the ceiling as high as we can. We laid it out, we measured what our harvest totes were. We really like using this rack because some things that we need to use quickly can go on this rack. Or CSA bags sometimes get stacked on this rack. We have another one we can wheel in. So yeah, thinking about the measurements of your cooler, we knew the door needed to be we knew where we wanted the door, but then we knew we also wanted to at least be able to store totes and have this rack on this side, be able to store at least 1 row of totes on each side and still have a nice wide area to walk in or wheel things in. Then these were just purchased off the internet, water resistant LED lights. More light the better. And yeah, I think also using some of, we modified these in order to just create a nice clean transition from the PVC to the metal.
Is that a truss cord trim piece?
Yeah, this is a truss cord trim piece that we just we ripped right down the middle. Because it was something that we had purchased and we never ended up using in our wash pack station, because all these truss cords just fit right together and we ended up not needing them. So we were able to rip them down the middle and use them for this to just, there's like a slot in it, so part of it went behind the metal and the other part goes here. And then I looked at doing a mini split of a heat pump, and the cost was just so much more, and it would cut down on energy usage. So I think someday, ideally, we would have mini splits in this barn, like one in our wash pack area to keep a little hot, a couple in coolers, but for now we just went with a bigger AC unit. The cost was, it's probably somewhere around $1,000, and we can set it up ourselves. Versus a mini split, you've got to have a plumber or like a heating specialist come set it all up, and it was many thousands of dollars. So for now, we just decided to go with this. And in the future, we could just patch that area of where the AC is coming through the wall.
Is there a difference between the blue and the green totes?
Just the year we purchased them.
Okay.
Another farm was selling, they either had gray or green, and we just went with green. We have been, all of our totes now we're trying to drill holes in. They're not huge, but at least, there are holes underneath of these and holes in the side to just let them drain out. Some of them that don't have holes, that just water condenses, sits on the bottom of them, and things like greens will ruin quicker. Not that we generally don't keep greens in here for very long. I mean, they're harvested the day. Generally they're harvested in the morning and we're distributing them later in that day. But for storage crops like carrots, some of the bins that don't have holes that we harvested a little bit ago, I was just packing some juicing carrots today and noticed that there's just water sitting on the bottom. I mean, they're still good, but if we were trying to keep them for several months, they would just start to rot quicker. Yeah, and we really like using these heavy plastic bags. rather than putting everything in the poly bags. If we're going to use things that are plastic, we try and use things that are plastic that are really durable. And some of these have already been around for 4 years. Well, yeah, we just expect to get many years of use out of them rather than poly bags that at best 2 years. Yeah, so that's kind of our philosophy with plastics. This was our original cooler. This is the 3rd place it's been. We purchased these used for $75, the panels. We're able to put it up pretty cheaply on used land and built it on skids. And now, you know, we moved it with a trailer from our leased land to here, and then already have moved it on our leased land. I just skidded it with a tractor around here, swung it around, and this we do already have, because it's not as well insulated, and we need this at a higher temperature for our squash. We had our garlic in here as well. We're keeping it around 50 for butternut squash, for pie pumpkins, and delicata. And you know, we don't grow a ton of these crops, so we're really just trying to provide our CSA with what we need. But because of our scale, because we do have a tractor, but we do most things by hand, it just makes sense to grow just what we need and focus on selling our higher value crops, our greens, what we're doing well, to wholesale markets.